Hey everyone, today we're going to take apart a EcoFan. A friend of mine gave this to me and I thought I'd do a video on how to fix the problems that usually occur with these fans. After a while when you buy them they tend to get dirty, they don't move as good, they don't push the air, so a lot of people probably just throw them out, but they're really a quick fix to get them back and running. So we're going to do a quick video on this and see if you can get yours back up and running. So before we get started, I just want to go over a few of the tools you should probably have ready to do this. A couple things you may have to order, you may have to pick up your local store. A couple of things, hand tools, a couple screwdrivers, Phillips screwdrivers usually for the EcoFan. It could be a little bit different depending on what you have. Hex key set, you're going to need a real small one. That's going to be to take off the fan itself. And some electrical cleaner. You can pretty well pick that up anywheres. And something that is not overly common is the thermal paste. This stuff here is Arctic Silver. I've used it before on a couple things, doing some CPU work and stuff. And you can get this on Amazon, and it's not overly expensive. What I like to do is to clamp the unit in the vise. Try not to put too much pressure on it, but it makes it nice and stable, so when you're working on it, you can get all the way around it easy enough. If you don't have a vise, you can always put a little soft clamp on it and put it on the bench just to keep it from moving. There's a couple parts on there that are hard to get off, or can be, and sometimes it can just be awkward dealing with the small wires and stuff inside. So a couple of the common problems that you run into with these is the fan motor itself. When they're exposed to dust and dirt and stuff over time, they can get plugged up inside, and it's just a free running motor, so a lot of the time you'll get dirt in those. And the other thing that can occur is there's where the wires plug in, there's your thermal conductor there. So what can happen is the thermal paste in between these surfaces can become corroded or dried out over time, and that doesn't give as much power to the motor as it should. So there it slows down and then eventually fails. The first thing you're going to do is going to take the fan off. So just grab your hex key, and you'll see the set screw in there. You're just going to back it off a little bit, and that'll come straight off. So just set that to the side. Next thing you're going to do is take the screws out of the fan motor. That's just a little bracket that holds it on there, so you can just kind of take that all off. And drop a bunch of stuff in the process. So there, then the motor comes out. Just pull that straight out, flip that back through, and then you're going to have two Phillips head screws in there that you need to get out. Now they're a little awkward because the aluminum is in the way of one. So the front one you can take off straight because you can get the screwdriver off. And sometimes you may have a hard time getting these off. I heated it up a little bit on the stove before I took this apart, and it came apart pretty good. But some of them will be quite difficult, so you got to be careful and try not to break the screws off. Now the inner one there, I had a stubby screwdriver that could just perfectly fit in there, and then just turn that until we get that screw out. And when that's just about out, you just want to be careful you don't drop the motor and stuff on the floor. So just pull that all off, put it to the side, and that'll leave you with this. So this surface here and this surface here should have some of that paste on it, the thermal paste, and that just helps so you have better conductivity through the aluminum. So as you can see, there's none on there right now. So we're going to put some of that on. Generally the thermal paste just comes in just a little tube, like a syringe. So then you just want to put a little bit. You don't need a whole lot of it on there because it'll squish down and spread out as you go. So I just put a little bit on each side. Just like that. Now you can spread it with your finger. It is a little messy. But it will help. And you may need a little more if you don't have enough. You can't use too much of this stuff. Whatever's excess will squeeze out through the sides when you tighten the screws back up. There. So there, that's on there. So now you're just going to reverse the same process you did to take it apart. I like to try and use the back screw first and then try and line it up so that the motor doesn't fall off. With the paste it helps because it actually kind of adheres it to the aluminum a little better so it doesn't slide out on you while you're trying to get it back together. You can also, if you have problems with the screws going back in, you can clean them up a little bit with a tap, or you can put some never sees back on there in case you ever have to take it apart down the road. If you keep these in pretty good shape, they'll last a lifetime. So there's that one. You don't need to over torque them. Just snug them up, and as long as the surface has good contact, you're good to go. So now, before we put the motor back on, another problem that we can have with these is the armature and stuff can get dust and dirt in it. So what I usually do is I'll take the electronic cleaner. Some people I've taken them apart before. I don't think this one needs it because it's not that bad. But you can spray your electrical cleaner in there. And what I like to do is when I get it back together and get it warmed up on the stove, you can give it a little blast. And that just helps clear any of the debris and dust and stuff that gets in there and prevents it from spinning. So once I do that, I'll put that back in. Make sure you get it in the right slot here, just like that. Put our bracket on. There, that can be a little finicky. Try to get on. Oh, so you have the right size screwdriver as well. So there, get that back on. Now we're going to take the impeller. Push this back on the shaft and just keep it about flush. You don't want it on there too far because you don't want it to hit any of the aluminum pieces and the fins. Right about there. Just torque it a little bit. Doesn't need to be tight. And see if it's free and clear. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try it out. I'm going to actually take a piece of, since I'm in the shop and I'm not in the house, I'm going to take a piece of steel and I'm going to warm it up and then I'm going to lay it on top and try it out and see. See how freely it spins. And if I think it needs a little more cleaner in the motor, I'll spray it in there while it's turning on its own. And then you can tell if you've got it or not. Stay tuned, I'm going to heat this up. So as you can see, since I have a welding shop here, I just kind of cheated and took a piece of 1/4-inch plate, warmed it up with a propane torch, and just to kind of speed things up a little bit. So as you can see, we're spinning here pretty good compared to what we were. I can actually feel the air, I don't know, about 3-4 feet back. I can feel the air quite well here. So I believe we've fixed the problem. So, but if it did slow down a little bit, if you're experiencing any problems, this is the best time to run the electrical cleaner. So I just kind of stopped the fin. There's not really much pressure there. And then I would just, see those little holes there, I would just spray the electrical cleaner in there and then kind of let it go and let it spin, and it'll clean itself out. So there you have it. Now you can probably pay, what, over $100 for these now, I bet. So I probably fixed this for around $10 the time we bought the thermal paste and a little can of electrical cleaner. So good little project to get things running again. And that's the end of the video. If you like to see more, please subscribe and like, and please enjoy. Thank you.